Hello, I'm Dr. Jaime, and welcome to episode 2 of what I'm calling my APA 7th edition Fundamentals. I've created this series as a way to support students at every level, from the associate level all the way to the doctorate level, understand, grasp, and to master APA fundamentals. It's so important that if you are a college student, particularly if you're studying in the social sciences, APA is the standard, or is the writing style. There are others, but APA is one, and often APA is the one that people struggle with the most. I really try to work with my students to help them understand why this is important. If you want to be a working psychologist, or if you want to publish, this is a style that you really must contend with, you must grapple. But to pick up where I left off in the first episode, where I talked about how to structure citations, and I go through a series of citations. In fact, I'm going to use those citations. In today's episode, I'm going to walk through how to create an APA style 7th edition structure in Word for a formal essay. And so here are top 7 reasons why students struggle with APA essays. Number 1, it seems really difficult, and so students struggle with how to set margins, how to create fonts and spacing, and things like that can be a little intricate. And it can also seem foreign and unnecessary, but it's really important that you understand the formatting structure and why we're using, that you are able to reproduce it consistently. And because of this, it's so complex, people who have limited familiarity with Word, or they don't understand some of Word's advanced features, may really struggle doing things like hanging indents or tabs or page numbers or headers and footers. So you really do have to have some facility with Microsoft Word, and that's really the popular program that people use, and how you manage and use those advanced features. There's quite a lot of misunderstanding about the formatting, particularly students who perhaps knew APA 6th edition, and now there's some things that are slightly different that are different in APA 7th edition. And so there's kind of an misunderstanding about how documents should be laid out, citations and references, and things like that. I think probably the challenge that people have, that I've noticed students have most often, is how do you handle the references? How do you handle in-text citations, narrative citations? Where do they go? How often should you do it? But really, if we're talking about the paper here, how do you get that funny little hanging indent that looks like a diving board? How do you create that? And I've seen students do some pretty outrageously creative things to try to get that feature, that look. They hit enter, they put spaces, and it causes quite a lot of confusion. So there are times when you're moving back and forth between versions of Word. Maybe there's a compatibility issue, and that can often become a problem. And some students lack comprehensive tutorials or guides or training materials on Word or APA. And I always tell students, if you want to understand how to use APA, you must purchase an APA publication guide. It's about 27 bucks, and all of the answers are there. So you must get those references, but more than that, you have to put in the time to practice. And that means putting in the time to learn these skills, not when you're under deadline, but when you are a little bit more relaxed. And hopefully this video can help you accomplish that. So I'm going to pop over to Word, and I'm going to walk through how to create your own template from start to finish, and understand how it's arranged, how it's constructed, and you can follow along. Okay. So now I'm in just a blank Word document, So what we want to do is make sure that to start, you have some basic things, some formatting turned on. For instance, you want to go and make sure that you have double space turned on. You can get double spacing or spacing by clicking here, or you can go to Format, Paragraph, and you get the paragraph dialog box here. You want left justified. APA papers are not full justified. I sometimes see that. So left justified where the margin on the right is ragged. Body text is the outline level. You want the indentation, at least for the majority of the paper, and we'll talk about the references at the end, to be 0, no left indentation, no right indentation. And the spacing 0 before and 0 after. And then you just want to make sure that it's double space. Sometimes you might have to change that, but you want to make sure that it's double space. So now you have double spacing. Also want to call to your attention this little feature here called the show hide. You notice, I think I talked about that last time. When you click on the show hide, it puts a little, it's called, I forget what it's called, but it's backwards P is what I've always called it. All right, so let's talk about the title page. The title page is fairly consistent, and I mean, it's not fairly consistent, it's absolutely consistent, and it's really easy to produce. So I'm going to leave the show hide on, and we want 5 spaces, and 5 spaces, double spaces are going to create 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we have 5 spaces. Now we're going to type the title of the essay. And it's important that you give your essays real titles that reflect the themes inside them. Oftentimes students will say assignment number 1 or a generic title, and you really want to give your paper a real title. So I'm going to call this paper Conquering APA Formatting in Essays. All right, notice that I'm using what's called major word case. Every word is capitalized, except prepositions like in or those minor words. And for now, I'm going to leave it just a left justified. I'm going to just hit a blank space. You need a blank space between the title of the paper and where we start with the author. So the author's name, let's make the author Jason Bourne. All right. And the university is the University of Hard Knocks. Okay. The name of the class is BA 007, History of Saving the World, one paper at a time. That sounds like a class I would take. Then the professor's name. Let's use me, Dr. James McNeil. And then you want the date. So the formal or standard date, which is February 26, 2024. Now notice that I have it all on the left, and that's so that I can show how easy it is to highlight with your cursor everything here, and then we're going to center it. All right, and now that it's centered, we're going to highlight the title of the paper, and that should appear in bold. Okay. And you can notice here that Jason Bourne, there's a little squiggly line here because Word doesn't know it. I'm going to say ignore. All right. Now, this is actually everything you need. 5 spaces to move it from the top. Then we have the title. We have 1 space, the name of the writer, the name of the university, the name of the class, the name of the instructor, and the date. Sometimes I'll see students do this, 2/6/2024. Get the space there. That's not the correct date format, so it should be the standard date format, February 6, 2024. All right, and then what I'll notice students will do is they will, to get to the second page, they'll hit the return. This is not sustainable. It may work a little bit when you have a smaller size paper, but when you get into really large projects, spacing your paper out this way is problematic. So let's go ahead and delete all of that. And we're just going to instead insert a hard page break right here. To put a hard page break, insert, page, and then page break. So you notice that we have, and you can see that when I turn on and off the show hide. We can see that there's a page break there. And the page break is sort of residing on a line by itself, so it's not interfering with anything on February 6th. But now we have the beginning of the next page. What should appear at the top of the paper is, and I just copied it, is the title of the essay on the actual body of the essay. That should appear at the very top. And then we have the essay itself, where every paragraph is indented to start a new paragraph. And if you're following the meal plan, and I'll record a video on the meal plan real soon. Every paragraph should be five sentences, no more, at least 3, no more than 5. The introductory paragraph should tell the reader what's going to happen in the paper, and there should be a conclusion, and then there should also be a reference page where the references that appear in the paper are accurately listed at the bottom in using that hanging indent. All right, so I prepared an essay. Let me go grab that essay, copy it over. Okay. So I'm going to copy this essay in. Here's my essay. All right. To make sure that it conforms to that style that I just said, there should be an indent or a tab at the beginning of every paragraph. There should not be any spaces in between. So that's a new paragraph. Get rid of that space. That's a new paragraph. That space. New paragraph. New paragraph. New paragraph. All right, here, this paragraph is the start. It's the last paragraph. That is the conclusion. So you should have a section called conclusion. Now, I want to show you a little bit of like what sometimes happens. So we're going to type conclusion because it's a section, level 1 section heading, conclusion. Conclusion, if I spell it right. It's going to be centered, and it should be bold. All right, very simple. But notice, I'm going to leave that sentence there, or leave that line there. Notice what happens if I try to create a centered line, but I also have a tab here. Let's say I type conclusion, and then I center. Ah, okay. Well, actually, what I was trying to produce is this. Sometimes this is what happens. The margin gets moved, and when the margin is moved, when you center, it gives the off-centered effect. So always make sure before you're centering that the line is the left margin is set, and it's not moved at all. Okay, so Word thinks that enhances is the wrong word. I'm going to tell it, no, that's the right word. Stop checking. I notice again that now I have my conclusion. Now I need to start a new line again, or a new page, so that I can have my references on the next page. So I'm going to hit enter to create a new line, hit backspace so that it goes to the left margin. Because when I hit enter, because it thinks that I'm going to create a new paragraph, it's already indenting for me. All right, so just be mindful of that. And then I'm going to insert another page break. Insert, page break. And there we have it. Now, this starts again, references. And the word is actually references, even if there's only one reference on the page, it's references. I'm going to hit enter, do the same thing, center, bold. All right, now here comes the tricky part. How do you get the hanging indent for the citations? I'm going to go grab the citations from the first video and let's take a look at how you produce that. Okay, so here are the citations. And again, notice that they're all in the perfect, accurate style, meaning with this one, the first one, it's a book. So Wellful, comma, E, period, R, period. The name of the book, the title of the book is in sentence case in italics, the 6th edition, and then the publisher. We don't use the city anymore. That was part of APA 6th edition. Here we have Cosset and Herlihy, 2 authors. Same thing, really, but slightly different, where we have the author's last name, first initials, comma, and then an ampersand that separates the first author from whatever the last author is. But notice here, addressing value-based conflicts within the counseling relationship, how that is the title of the article, and it's not in italics, but it is in sentence case. And then we have the Journal of Counseling and Development, and 92, which is the volume number. That's in major word case, where every major word is capitalized except of. And also the volume number 92 are italicized. You see that same convention here for Francis and Duggar, 2 authors. We have the citation for a YouTube video. And again, all of this is in the last video. So I just want to familiarize you with what it looks like. And you notice also that it's just sort of wrapping around. There's no return here. And there's a return that separates Wellful from Cosset. There's a return that separates Cosset from Francis. There's a return that separates Francis from ethical illiteracy, and on and on. Okay. Now let's get to how do you create that indent. Here's what I see students sometimes do. They'll like, okay, well, I'll make it sort of ends here, and then they'll try to tab that over. Well, that's kind of okay, but what happens if you do something like this? Then they tab that over, try to tab this over. Then that happens. Then they try to hit, it becomes a mess. Let's undo all of that. Okay, the very simple solution is to type everything exactly as you see it. No, just typing it, letting it wrap around naturally, which kind of I think feels a little bit counterintuitive. But once you do that, you can highlight the whole thing and then go into format, line spacing again. And in the indentation area, you're going to choose hanging. Hanging indent is where the first line starts at the left margin and the subsequent lines wrap a ½ inch in. And by default, a ½ inch is the selection. Click OK. And bingo, bango. Let me get rid of that. We have the hanging indent. And it wraps around perfectly, and I don't have to be concerned about it. Even when it wraps around here, that separates 180 from 186, that's fine. That's actually the style. That's the format. But you'll also notice that these sources are not alphabetized. Now, you could spend your time going, okay, here's A. I'll move A up here. I'll copy that. I'll move W down here. Or you can highlight it all again and use Word's sort feature. Looking up sort. Sort is under table, I believe. Yeah. Oops. Try again. difficulty is that I'm trying to see around. Oh, okay, there we go. Sort. And we choose what's called sort by paragraph because each paragraph is its own little packet of data. And we're going to sort the text by ascending. So let me go back so that you can see that Wellful is first and Farber is last. And we're going to go back to sort. Watch what happens with no header row. Watch what happens when I click OK. I'll move this off to the side. Just like that, the citations are sorted. They're in the perfect order. All right, so let's take a look at what this looks like now. Let's turn it all off. So stretch out. Notice how nice and clean the document looks even before you attempt to read it. All right. Here's a couple other things. If you are writing a paper that needs a header, I'll talk to you very briefly about creating a header, a leading header, and putting a page number on your paper. So let's make go back to the page width. Okay. The leading header is in APA 7th edition where you take the 40 characters, and it could be the first 40 characters or any 40 characters that the author believes would represent the title of the paper, and you put it in the header. So this is not 40 characters. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this. And to go into the header, you can't really see it, but if you double click in this area above sort of where the margin is, and the margin for an APA style paper is 1 inch on every side. So if I'm inside 1 inch, I'm in the header. You can do the same thing if I'm in the footer. And then click out to get out. All right, so I'm going to click here and copy what I just, paste what I just copied. But also, in the leading header, it should be in all caps. Now I could type that over, or I could use words feature to turn what's highlighted into uppercase. And just like that. And the thing, if I click back again, back into the paper, I can see that it's sort of grayed out. It's happening at the top of every page. I also want to let me click back in the header. If I wanted to, I could say that the header on the first page is different than the other headers, or I could do odd and even, but for our purposes, we just want the header on every page. And we're going to add the page number. So just click over here for page number and page number. You want it to the right. And there's your page number. All right. Let's go through the essay very quickly so that you can understand. And this is the essay that I'm going to use in our next episode, where I talk about using the meal plan. So it starts off, conquering APA formatting in essays. In academic writing, mastering the American Psychological Association, or APA, 7th edition conventions is crucial for college students. And notice that I've abbreviated APA because I'm going to use it over and over, and now I can just use the abbreviation. Adhering to APA guidelines ensures clarity, consistency, and professionalism in scholarly communication. Despite its challenges, conquering APA 7th conventions and college essays is achievable through understanding its components, utilizing available resources, practicing consistently, seeking feedback, and leveraging technology. This paper is a brief presentation of the importance of understanding the fundamental components, why it's important to use readily available resources, highlighting why practice is key, and being open to feedback as an improvement strategy. Firstly, comprehending the components of APA 7th conditions is fundamental. Students should familiarize themselves with guidelines for formatting in-text citations, references, headlines, and other stylistic elements. Understanding the purpose and structure of each component facilitates accurate implementation in essays. Additionally, students must grasp the nuances of APA style, such as rules for capitalization, punctuation, and abbreviation usage. We'll stop there. I often see students who capitalize things. They capitalize words that are theories or sort of big ideas. And we don't really use in APA 7th edition, we don't capitalize except for when the word is a proper word or it's a person's name. So capitalization of theories or constructs or almost any model, unless it's it has the person's name in it, we don't capitalize it. And students often don't understand how to abbreviate. Here I demonstrated for you how to abbreviate American Psychological Association. I abbreviate and then I can use it moving forward. All right, let's go forward. Secondly, utilizing available resources can aid students in mastering APA 7 conventions. Colleges often provide access to AP manuals, style guides, and online tutorials. These resources offer detailed explanations, examples, and templates for various citation scenarios. Moreover, academic writing centers and librarians are valuable sources of assistance for students seeking clarification on APA guidelines on struggling with specific formatting issues. So I want to talk about how important it is to avail yourself to your university's writing centers and librarians. Just this week, I assigned a paper to my students to meet with a librarian because students often have library phobia. I had library phobia. It's a little overwhelming. So I think my personal view, librarians are magic. They know where the information is, and they know, particularly those who are working in the writing center, they have they're very practiced at helping students learn these skills. Moving on. Consistent practice is another key to conquering APA 7th conventions. Writing essays following APA guidelines regularly helps students internalize formatting rules and citation norms. Engaging in exercises that require creating citations, formatting references, and structuring papers according to APA standards reinforces learning and boosts proficiency over time. Through repetition and refinement, students develop confidence in applying APA conventions effectively. Now, here's the rub. In class, in the exercises in most classes, you are given those opportunities to practice, and oftentimes students resist those opportunities, and in so resisting, they fail to internalize these rules. These rules are part of the structure and the socialization of what it means to be a psychologist, if you are a psychologist, or what it means to be a college student or professional in whatever academic endeavor that you're studying. So it's important that that becomes part of you. Furthermore, seeking feedback from peers, instructors, or writing tutors can enhance students' APA skills. Peer review sessions allow students to receive constructive criticism on their essays, formatting, and citation accuracy. Instructors and writing tutors provide valuable guidance, identifying errors and offering suggestions for improvement. Actively incorporating feedback into subsequent writing endeavors fosters continuous growth in APA proficiency. Lastly, leveraging technology can streamline the process of adhering to APA 7th conventions. Writing software like Microsoft Word offers built-in tools for formatting papers according to APA guidelines. Features such as style templates, citation generators, and reference management tools simplify tasks like creating citations, organizing references, and applying formatting rules. Harnessing these technological aids empowers students to focus more on content development while also ensuring adherence to APA standards. And now we have conclusion. Circling back to the purpose of this paper, conquering APA 7 conventions and college essays is a manageable task requiring dedication, practice, and resourcefulness. By understanding APA guidelines, utilizing available resources, practicing consistently, seeking feedback, and leveraging technology, students can navigate the intricacies of APA style with confidence. Mastery of APA conventions not only enhances the quality of academic writing, but also equips students with essential skills for scholarly communication in their future endeavors. and then we have our references. Now, I know that these references don't necessarily correspond with the essay, but when I come back and take a look at how to leverage the meal plan, we'll use more appropriate resources. So hopefully this gives you some insight and gives you some ways to think about, some things to practice, and some confidence in developing or creating an APA structure or an APA structured essay from scratch. Now, I know lots of universities, I sometimes provide my students with a template, but you don't need one. You know how to do it yourself. And knowing, as they used to say back in He-Man, back in my day, the cartoon He-Man, knowing is half the battle. Have a good day.